Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm so excited to see you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Here I have our new little addition to the Porter family, Miss Catalina Porter. Hi, baby. So excited to see you guys. As a working mom, I have my little baby today with me. I'm going to talk about nutrition topics, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Hi, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Um, Awesome, awesome. All righty. We have a lot of questions. Thank you guys so much for reaching out to us and asking us all of your exciting questions. We're going to go over them as many as we can today. If we, for whatever reason, don't get to everybody's questions, we will go ahead and message you guys the answers. You guys that are in the chat live, you guys are more than welcome to drop your questions here. We give you guys priority for being present with us. So if you guys have a question in the during the time that you were here, go ahead and shut them out for us. This time is for you guys. This time is for to make sure that we guys keep you guys informed the best as we can. So without further ado, let's go over some of the questions that we have here. One of our viewers asked us, what are some strategies to improve meal satisfaction and reduce mindless snacking, especially during high stress periods? So one of the things to really kind of keep in mind is whether or not we are, what triggers us during like stressful times. Do we lose our appetite? Are we stressful eaters, right? So a lot of the times we pick up these habits from our parents, right? So knowing that this is like a very ingrained habit and kind of know what our triggers are really helps us to kind of prepare for the future, right? So one of the really good things to in terms of just like mindless snacking is knowing that, hey, when you make a balanced meal and or snack, that balanced meal is going to keep you full for longer periods of time. This is why research shows that people who tend to snack more tend to gain more weight, because they never really activate the receptors that have to do with satiety, right? So usually people that eat wholesome meals, more balanced and bigger meals, get that feeling of being satisfied and therefore are not thinking about food all the time, right? So I would encourage you guys to create balanced meals with something with carbohydrates, protein, and fat, really prioritizing that protein, because that's one of the macronutrients that's going to keep us fullest the longest. And then let's see, we had another one of our audience members. Let me pull these up. Talked about, okay, what are some practical ways to stabilize blood sugar levels and prevent energy crashes during long study sessions? This is a great question. I'm guessing this person's a student. So one of the things to realize is that sugar, if there's a spike of sugar, let's say from eating like a sugary snack, whether it be candy, whether it be whatever, right? There are three components that kind of blunts this effect, right? So adding protein, adding fat, and adding fiber in that order from ascending to descending. Protein will have the biggest blunting effect on that sugary food, right? So if you consume, let's say, and it could be anything, it could be candy, it could be a banana or something like that, right? So let's say in terms for an example, banana. So if I'm going to be studying, I might have a banana with some Greek yogurt and some peanut butter in that Greek yogurt. Let's say I'm at school and I didn't prep anything and I go into the cafeteria or the cafe shop and they have some candy, right? By the way, I used to do this all the time in college. I used to get like a roll of Mentos, right? I used to pair it with a little package of nuts and some beef jerky, like 2 little packages of beef jerky. So that's the way, believe it or not, a good way to balance meal. Right now, the better thing would have done for me would have been to not get the Mentos and get a fruit instead, maybe, right? But hey, technically that's still a balanced snack. So this is where I like to play devil's advocate, right? Because I feel like with more knowledge, we may feel less deprived. Now, remember, I don't have any clinical condition that warrants my body from not being able to eat carbohydrates or high sugary foods, right? If you have a clinical condition, let us know, because then we can go ahead and give these guidelines to that specific clinical condition, right? For example, somebody with insulin resistance whose body can't really break down or absorb carbohydrates well, they might benefit off from having things such as those like snap chips that are being sold instead of like, regular chips or something like that. So there's definitely ways to make sure that we are catering to you guys' conditions. All righty, let's go ahead and go through the next one. Do probiotics or fermented foods genuinely enhance mental health, or is a very diet sufficient? There is evidence in terms of our gut microbiome with what we call the brain axis connection. So there is some research, not a lot of stuff now, but there is some research supporting that a healthy microbiome, so consuming fermented foods and fermented eating probiotic-like foods, will help with mood stability, mental health, well-being. So yes, so as of right now, there hasn't been enough or much research to negate that research, right? So hey, by all means, eat that kimchi, eat that natto, right? Kefir, right? Any fermentable foods are going to be great on that brain. So I personally love to drink kefir for that. But like I said, depending maybe on your culture, anything pickled, right, can have great probiotics. Kombucha can have great probiotics. Greek yogurt, great source of protein with probiotics. So you definitely make sure that you guys consume those. Okay, so this next question from one of our viewers is really, really cool. Do supplements such as green powders, creatine, or collagen provide real benefits, or is whole food sufficient? Great question. So my answer to that would be depending on the goal. So let's take creatine, for example. Creatine is what we call an exergenic supplement, meaning there's very much research behind the validity of creatine in terms of how it works. Now, knowing what creatine does, that's what will enable you to utilize it properly, right? So a lot of the times people will say like, oh, hey, creatine will help me increase my muscle mass. But it won't help you do that if you are not weightlifting and you're not consuming enough protein, right, baby? Eat enough protein, guys. Eat enough protein so we can get those chickies up. Along with that, we want to make sure that you're consuming the type of creatine that has the most research behind it, which is creatine monohydrate, right? That's the one that's the most dissolvable and thus absorbable in your body, right? So now with creatine, it's not a direct effect that you get from weight training to increasing muscle mass. So the way creatine works is that I'm going to get a little sciencey here for you guys. So the way creatine really works is that it adds or provides extra phosphate groups so that ADP, adenosine diphosphate, turns into ATP, or energy molecule, adenosine triphosphate, so 3 phosphates. So really that's where we get, because the rebuilding of tissue, protein synthesis, requires ATP. So by having more ATP available in your body, protein synthesis will be maximized, right? Once again, I can have all the ATP in the world, I can drink all of the creatine in the world, but if I'm not consuming enough protein, that's not going to work, right? So really maximizing the amount of protein that you're eating. And some people have asked me before, like, how much protein should I be consuming? I personally really like to tie that to how many days of working out you're doing, specifically resistance training, right? Think about it this way. The more days that you tear down the muscle mass, the more protein you're going to need to repair it, right? So usually the guidelines are between anywhere between 0.7 grams to up to 1.1, 1.2 grams per pound of target body weight. Really important on the target body weight. That really will depend. So for example, if somebody's lifting 2 days per week, I'm really going to put them on that 0.8 to 0.9, right? 4 days per week, I'm going to go 0.9 to 1.0, right? 5 and 6 days and so forth. Your body will be the best indicator as to if you need more protein. So if you start getting hungrier, right? And a lot of times you're like, ooh, I'm really craving like a piece of meat or something like that. That's going to really be the way to make sure that you guys are eating enough protein, right? To making sure that we're getting hungry just shy of that 3-hour mark. These are all great questions, guys. Okay, our next question asks about how does the timing of protein intake affect muscle growth and metabolic processes throughout the day? Ooh, really, really great question on this one. So what our research shows is that more so than breaking down the amounts of grams of protein per hour or whatnot, like protein timing, eating enough protein throughout the whole day is really what matters. Now, let's say somebody's aiming to consume 150 grams of protein. It's going to be really hard to consume like 10, 10, 10, and then like 100 in one sitting, right? So this person would be better off consuming 20 to 30 grams, 40 to 50, and spreading them out evenly throughout the day. So yeah, so that's my my intake on that. You're better off by making sure that you're consuming enough protein throughout that 24-hour period. That's how your body will actually respond best, because now there will be enough amino acids available to restore and repair and replenish that that muscle mass. Great question, you guys. All right, we have time for a few more. And once again, thank you guys so much for joining us. If you have a question, don't feel afraid to drop it in the chat. Okay. Ooh, this one's really good. What are some evidence-backed approaches for sustainable weight loss to support metabolism and fullness without severe calorie restriction? So based on the evidence, what we know that keeps us full the longest is protein, fiber, and water. Okay, and protein and fiber are both very low in calories, and water has none. The reason why these are the ones that work the best is because protein provides the most amount of fullness with the least amount of calories. Fats also keep us really full, but they have more calories per gram. 1 gram of fat has 9 calories per gram, and proteins have 4 calories per gram, right? And fiber has 2.2 calories per gram. And once again, because our bodies, have to sort through what we call soluble versus insoluble fiber, right? Your body really takes its time to break this down. Your body, your stomach, and your intestines have receptors that indicate to your brain that, hey, there's still food here. Hold that on that hunger cue, right? Water, when we drink enough water, and think about it, like you sometimes may drink a lot of water and feel full. Well, as your belly stretches, there's stretch receptors, nerve endings that go from your stomach to your brain. So by drinking enough water, you're consistently getting that message to the brain that, hey, there's something in our stomach's full, we don't need quite as much food. So that's those are the 3 really good way of sustaining weight loss in eating. Make sure we're eating enough protein, eating enough fiber, and drinking enough water. So what are those enough numbers? So I just went over through the enough protein per, depending on what you're doing, right? Now, in terms of fiber, what we recommend, the recommendations for women are 25 to 30 grams per day. And for men are 35 to 40. So depending on where you are. And usually the way I like to say, because some people might get pretty technical, some people are very number driven and they need those numbers to feel very secure. Well, how do I know if it's 25 or 30? Well, a shorter person will need about 25 and a taller woman will need about 30. That's how I kind of look at it, right? A shorter man will need about 35 and a 6'5", 7-foot man might need closer to that 40. In terms of water, there's a specific formula for water intake for everybody to perform optimally, right? The equation goes: you're gonna take your weight in pounds divided by 2, and that's how many ounces you need per day without exercise. Now, if you're exercising, whatever you drink according to your thirst during your exercise bout, but don't count that towards your total. Let me give you an easy example. If you weigh 100 pounds, you're going to need 50 ounces of water per day. And then if you work out, whatever you drink during that workout doesn't count towards that 50. Okay. So once again, guys, thank you guys so much for joining us. Once again, if you guys have questions, you guys can DM them ahead of time. Otherwise, I would love to see you guys next week. Next time with the Ask a Dietitian Live. We'll have a special guest for you guys. But thank you guys again for joining us, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.